In 2015, the studio behind Gran Turismo did something that should have been impossible. They hired the guy that made their biggest rival sound better than them. Not some random audio engineer, the audio lead. The bloke who'd been making them look bad for over a decade. And Polyphony Digital, this famously secretive Japanese studio that barely hired outside of Tokyo, just went and got him. But the mad part isn't that they hired him. The mad part is why they needed to. Because for years, Gran Turismo had a nickname in the community, and it wasn't a kind one. This is the story of how the biggest racing game in the world went from sounding like a vacuum cleaner to recording tyre blowouts in Scandinavia, bolting engines to machines that freeze sound in place, and capturing the way your exhaust bounces off a concrete wall 200 metres away. This is the sound of speed. Before we get into any of this, I want to show you something, because the best sound design is the stuff you never consciously notice. It just feels right, and you don't question it. In GT7, they captured what's called the impulse response inside each car's cabin. That's basically the unique way a sound bounces around in that specific interior. A modern sports car with acoustic glass sounds completely different from a vintage race car with exposed metal everywhere. The exhaust modifications aren't just a volume slider either. They recorded different setups at each upgrade level. Stock muffler, sport exhaust, full racing setup. Each one has its own character because each one was individually recorded. The Shelby GT350 alone has 4 separate exhaust options in the game, each with unique recorded sounds for one car. And for the cars recorded on closed courses, they don't just capture the car, they capture the environment, the way the sound bounces off concrete barriers versus a chain link fencing. They're not recording cars, they're recording what it's actually like to be near a car. So how did they get there? Because it wasn't always like this. So in 1997, the original Gran Turismo comes out and it's a game changer. Graphics were mental for the time, physics felt proper, but the sound? Yeah, not great. And the mad thing is, Polyphony's recording method back then was almost hilariously basic. They'd take a car, stick it in neutral, put some mics around it and just rev it. Hold it at 1000 RPM, then 2000, then 3000. The problem is obvious when you think about it. A car in neutral has no load on the engine. There's nothing fighting against it. Yamauchi, the head of Polyphony, the Gran Turismo guy, he actually admitted this later. He said the car would be placed in neutral and revved at 1000 RPM. But without any load, you're only capturing the engine's internal losses. You're not getting the real sound. So for years, the community called them vacuum cleaner sounds. And yeah, fair enough. Alright, so this is where it starts getting good. Most of you probably know what a dyno is. You drive your car onto rollers and they measure power, standard stuff. But they're rubbish for recording sound because the tyres are spinning on rollers. There's slippage everywhere, loads of extra noise you don't want. The Dynapack works completely differently. It bolts directly to your wheel hubs. No rollers, no tyres touching anything. Just pure resistance straight into the drivetrain. And the clever bit, it can hold your engine at any RPM you want, even at full throttle. So imagine you've got the accelerator absolutely floored, but the engine is sitting perfectly still at 3000 RPM, then 4000, then 5000. Each one held rock steady so you can record it properly. Polyphony teamed up with a guy called Tanabe-san at Amuse in Japan, and suddenly They could record engines under real driving loads without the car actually going anywhere. Yamauchi called it a machine that was tailor-made for recording engine sound. And he wasn't wrong. The cars with the best sounds in Gran Turismo, generally the ones recorded on a Dynapack. The only problem? These machines aren't exactly portable, and Polyphony needed to record cars all over the world. Over 25 years, Polyphony has recorded more than 1,700 vehicles. That's not just rocking up to a dealership with a Zoom recorder. That's coordinating with manufacturers, racing teams, private collectors, getting access to cars that sometimes barely even exist. Their sound team travels to test tracks in Japan, facilities in America, frozen roads in Scandinavia. They've used anechoic chambers. They're those rooms that's covered in foam wedges that kill all sound reflections. So every recording is completely clean. For GT Sport, they tested over 50 different microphones before they settled on their kit. They used different mics for different jobs. One for intake, another for the engine bay, and 3 for the exhaust, picking up everything from the headers to the tailpipe tip. And when they can't get a car onto a Dynapack, mics strapped directly to the car and they record on closed circuits. The full works. Everything you'd hear if you were actually in the thing. So over the years, recording tech has come a long, long way. Early days, it was 2 channels, 16-bit digital audio tape, engine and exhaust. That was your lot. Now, 8 channels, 24-bit. They're capturing an entire orchestra of mechanical noise, engine, exhaust, intake, cabin ambience. And this is the one people forget about, tyre noise. Because the sound of a car isn't just what's happening under the bonnet. It's rubber on the road, and that changes massively depending on what surface you're on. So this is why Polyphony work directly with tyre manufacturers to record their products on test tracks around the world. Dry tarmac, wet asphalt, gravel, dirt, grass, snow. They go to Scandinavia specifically for snow. They've got specialist dirt facilities. They even communicate with the driver in real time during recording sessions. Brake harder here, accelerate through this bit, let the rear step out a touch. They record tyre blowouts too, because failure has to sound right. Right? Gran Turismo's sound just wasn't it. Everyone knew, the community knew, Forza fans definitely knew, and they would not shut up about it. Other racing games, Forza especially, had these incredible meaty engine noises, the V8s, the V10s, stuff that genuinely made you feel something. But Gran Turismo, technically accurate maybe, but it left you a bit cold, right? Yamauchi did this interview in 2012 where he said, and I'm paraphrasing, "The sounds in Gran Turismo are just too real." Yeah, the community didn't love that answer. But in all fairness, he had a point. Polyphony was recording from positions that prioritised mechanical accuracy. Those recordings were real, they just weren't exciting. He said he wanted to design the sound a little bit and challenge themselves to do better. And then in 2015, they did. So remember that bloke I mentioned at the start? Mike Caviezel, audio lead on Forza Motorsport 1 through 4. Multiple industry awards, an absolute legend in the audio space. And Polyphony hired him. The sim racing community at the time lost it, right? Gran Turismo, this famously insular Japanese studio that barely looked outside Tokyo for talent, went and poached their biggest rival's sound guy. And the difference showed up in GT Sport. Critics noticed straight away. Players could hear it. So, what do you do when you need an engine sound for a car that isn't real? You can't exactly record a Vision Gran Turismo concept car. There's no factory to visit, no engine to stick a mic on. These things exist as renders and nothing else. Polyphony built something called the Advanced Engine Sound Synthesizer, which basically creates engine sounds from mathematical models. It simulates how pistons, combustion chambers and exhaust systems actually behave and generates audio from that. It's not perfect. Polyphony themselves say it can sound a little bit artificial and hammers the CPU, but it means they can give a voice to cars that only exist in someone's imagination. Yamauchi has said multiple times over multiple years, "Of course, I myself, I am not satisfied with the sound in Gran Turismo. And honestly, that's probably why it keeps getting better." So every time you boot up Gran Turismo, what you're hearing is decades of this. Thousands upon thousands of recording sessions. Millions of data points. All that, so when you floor it, you don't just see speed, you feel it.